Welcome to another edition of Hanging with the Howards. I'm Brian Howard, joined alongside my wife, my beautiful, gorgeous wife here in Vegas, Tisha
Hey,
Howard. Tisha,
hello.
Tisha, just talk about your experience here in Vegas. I know this is talking about hot topics, so I can't wait to delve in on this podcast.
Hey, everybody. Yes, we are in Vegas. I'm sitting here eating gelato, which I don't think I've ever tried until I've gotten to Vegas, but it's like ice cream in a kind of, sort of way. Anyway, so I'm eating gelato, and Brian is partaking in another little treat.
Absolutely, Fat Tuesday, the only way to go in Vegas.
hmm
Mm-mm,
So,
mm-mm-mm. Fat Tuesday needs to give me an NIL deal right now on this lovely, tasty beverage.
and I would say this is our first time doing this, so if you hear any audio issues or whatever, I don't know how to fix them. Just to roll with it with us.
Uh,
So
and and before you get started, I obviously want to give a nice little plug to everybody here at the convention who has stopped you, and said,
hmm
"Hey, we watch your podcast, we listen to your
yes,
podcast, so keep it up, pass the word, hanging with the Howards." Look, we here for entertainment purposes, and this has been a heck of a ride.
very much so. Yes, like he said, we really appreciate everyone who's come up to us. I was very shocked and encouraged by the people that came up and said, "Hey, hanging with the Howards. We watch your podcast all the time." So it's very encouraging to hear people say that. It's people that he knows, but I don't know them. So that's very encouraging, and we do appreciate all of your support. But yes, we have been in Vegas since when, like Saturday, yeah,
Saturday
since
night.
Saturday night. And for me, I'm just the wife of a guy that's in sports. So my experience has been I basically eat breakfast and then I have been taking a lot of naps, handling a little business while I'm here, but pretty much just using this time just to kind of relax and, get ready to get back on the routine of getting back to work. I've been off for several weeks because I am a GG now. I'm gonna throw that in there. So I actually came from San Diego to Vegas, and we'll be talking about GG stuff a little bit later. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm just kind of using this time to just kind of relax a little bit and also meet some interesting people, meet some of the people that he knows, and just to see how he networks and just kind of how the sports world kind of interact with each other. And it's been very interesting. I've seen a lot of networking going on, so it's been really neat to see from an outside perspective. Kind of how all of this works. So
So let me ask this. Obviously, this is your first time at this particular convention. This is my second time here in Vegas. But what was it like? Just explain to our viewers and our listeners a little bit about what it was like hanging with me Saturday and Sunday and even Monday. During those breaks and times that you would come and see me. I mean, it was like I was getting stopped nonstop.
yes, so I realized I realized that I'm married to sports celebrity apparently. Like Saturday, we would just be either walking, here in the hotel or just sitting, just kind of people watching. And about every probably 5 minutes, somebody would come up, and stop them. And then there was this conversation, and everybody would say, "Oh man, this is a legend," I can't believe, and he's won an award, so they would congratulate him on his award, and he was just like, he's like a sports legend that I really did realize, just constantly people coming up to him and just having a conversation. So that was pretty neat.
Well, as they say, behind a good man is an outstanding woman, and that is you. So I thank you for having the opportunity to come here to Vegas and spend this time with me, babysit me, I guess, a little bit.
Yes, we won't
That's
really get
that's
into
not,
that.
yeah, it's a whole nother level, but I really appreciate it. So I'm glad that you were able to do that.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed it. I've had a good time.
So
Obviously, because we are in Vegas, you've seen a lot of things which have created some buzz, and some topics per
Hmm.
se. So I'm going to let you go ahead and address the elephant in the room because I think there are some amazing topics that we can discuss. I mean, it's Vegas after all, and what happens in Vegas and might not stay in Vegas.
Yeah. So, like he said, there is a saying that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So that leads to a hot topic of hall passes. And Brian, can you explain to everybody exactly what a hall pass is for those who don't know?
All right. So a hall pass is, let's say you're away from home. Your significant other, whether it's your wife or your husband, allows you to sleep with somebody else. Have an entanglement with somebody else, right? And so that is the hall pass. Now, for me, I would like to say that my ex-wife had a hall pass for 8 years. Okay, so
Oh my gosh.
call a spade a spade. You know,
Really?
so, but
Oh
that's what the hall
my.
pass is. That is what the hall pass is intended for. Um, and these types of conventions allow for those particular things to happen.
So let me get this right. Hall passes are supposed to be done with the permission of your significant other. Is that correct?
that is correct.
So
Facts.
it's not a hall pass if you come out here and do crazy stuff without your significant other knowing. That's just flat out cheating, right?
That would be deemed cheating. Yes, that is correct. Am I on
No,
trial?
no, no. I just want to get a clear understanding as to what the hall pass is.
All right. So, like for example, and I'm gonna use this as an example. So, if I was to come out to Vegas
Uh huh.
and you had given me permission to have this one time hall pass, right? I
Uh
would be
huh.
able to utilize it because you have given me that permission. If I went to Vegas and you didn't come with me and I chose to sway from my marriage, that
Hmm.
is deemed cheating. So that is the difference between hall pass and cheating.
Okay. So if a person gets the hall pass and they utilize that hall pass, do they let their spouse know they utilize it or no?
That's a really great question. I wish I had the answer for that. I might have to look it up. I honestly I don't know, but in my previous experience in my previous marriage, I was never privy to that particular thing. So I
Get the
guess
information.
that would be cheating as opposed to a hall pass.
Yeah, it probably wasn't a hall pass.
Yeah, yeah, definitely probably want a hall pass. So I think that's probably where we got it at. But can you elaborate? Can you give an example of something that maybe you saw here on this particular trip that maybe is why you have this particular hot topic?
Well, we have gone to a couple of events that were hosted by, some of the people that you all network with. And so I overheard this conversation in the ladies' room about the events where in these events, there's some drinking going on, whatever. So there was this young lady and she felt so bad because she was telling her friends, she was like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad because I turned my wedding ring like around so that nobody, I guess, could see, that she was married or whatever. And it's like she felt bad for doing it, but yet she still did it. So, and I'm not saying that led to like a hall pass or anything like that, but she did mention that she felt bad for turning her ring around.
So let me ask this: why do you think she wanted to turn the ring around? Couldn't she do what most guys would do and put it in their pocket?
Yeah, just take it
Leave,
off.
leave it at home maybe if she want to get a little flirtatious and expand those avenues. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not out here advocating for cheating on your spouse or a hall pass or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you felt the need to feel so guilty about it,
Hmm.
then I don't think that it's right for you.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I could tell in her voice that she was feeling like a little guilty about it. She's like, I feel so stupid. I can't believe I did that. I turned my ring around, and so I don't know if it was like some guys or whatever trying to talk to her, and she just kind of casually decided to do it, like on a whim. I don't know what the situation was, but either way, she did it, and apparently felt bad about it, but it happened.
Well, it is Vegas, and what happens in Vegas sometimes stays in Vegas, if you know what I mean. So
That is true.
maybe it'll stay in Vegas. I don't know.
Hopefully
But
so.
but
What else have you seen out here in Vegas? I mean, outside of maybe this particular instance that you've seen, or another topic that we could expand upon. Here in Vegas.
Well, one thing I will say, I haven't been. I came out here in 2016 with family, so we didn't really have this particular experience. But I will say that Vegas is super expensive. Um, as in paying like what $15 for a hot dog and fries. I mean, this like the cheapest meal that we've had pretty much is a hot dog, and that was like $16. So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, like from Saturday, right? We go to Wahlburgers.
Hmm.
If we've been to Wahlburgers in Huntsville before it closed down, before it shut down,
Hmm.
and we sit down, we haven't even gotten somebody, like, we haven't had a server come to us, and we got a guy snapping our photos,
Yeah,
and he come back about
that was
10
weird.
minutes. Yeah, it was. And then he comes back 10 minutes later and he's like, all right. And he lays out probably like six, seven of those photos, right?
And they
And
were
he
really
said
nice.
they were fantastic. But then he goes, yeah, they'll be $20 each. Bro.
Yeah.
Or a bottle of water is like $8.
Hmm.
Like that meal at Wahlburgers, like I got a patty melt and that was $20. And that was
Yeah.
without the fries.
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
like, seriously, Vegas, do better. Vegas got to do better on that.
Yeah. And I will
But
tell you, I did not
yeah.
overeat here. So
I don't think I didn't overeat, but I'm certainly overdrank.
I'll tell you, a lot of people gain weight when they go on vacation. With these prices, you learn to eat you a couple of big meals a day and go sit down. You drink water. You don't drink sodas. Or maybe one soda a day. So I think I've lost weight since I've been here.
But getting on that particular topic of expensive and food and money, right?
Hmm.
Was I had heard a story, a recent podcast that I listened to, just an excerpt of this particular podcast, and I kind of want to know your feedback, your opinion on it. And I would love to know the listeners and viewers' feedback as well. Is
Hmm.
so this guy goes on a date with this woman. First date, he pays for everything.
Hmm.
The second date, he goes out, he pays for it. The third date, they go out. I guess it's a place where you got to put your card down. She puts her card down. I guess they spend a couple $100, whatever, and then end of the night, end of the date. So that's 3 dates, right? And then so the very next day, the guy calls her up and says, "Hey, I think you're really great. I just don't see a future with you. I wish you the best of luck."
Hmm.
I'm listening to this in this particular podcast. I'm like, all right, so far so good. But the lady goes and asks her friend, well, what do I do? And she says, well, you spend a couple $100 on this guy in that third date. I think you should send the receipt to him and say, hey, I really had a great time, but here's your portion of the date, making him pay half. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm curious, as a female, what would you do in that situation?
Well, I've always been a pretty independent person. So honestly, now I know a lot of times the guys, they're trying to impress the woman. So, generally, most guys pay for the first date,
Right.
probably even like the second date. But I think like once you establish that, okay, if we're going to be dating, um, I don't see a problem with the woman paying. It is just kind of etiquette, like for the guy to pay for the first time or whatever. But so personally, I don't mind paying for a date, if I like a guy. However, in this particular situation with that couple, like she sent him like the receipts of that date, but did she not consider how much he had paid for the first two dates?
Right.
So it's like, okay, like if their bill came up to like $100 or so dollars, then I mean, how much did he pay for the first two? So
Right.
I wouldn't have um, given him the receipts. I just would have called it a wash. you
Right.
know. But there are some women that expect guys to pay for everything all the time, you know, and I think that needs to be a discussion. After you go on a couple of dates, there probably needs to be a discussion to be had about that.
Right.
Because the first date, like I said, is usually automatic. It just assumes that the guy would pay or whatever. But I think once you start getting on that second, third, fourth date, it needs to be some expectations. Um, Explain, discuss to say, okay, so, how do you feel about, I don't know what this feedback is, but it's anyway, it's driving me crazy. It needs to be some discussions about it after you've had those first initial dates, just to say, okay, we can pay for our own, or how do you want to do this? If we're going to continue dating, how do you want this to play out? And I
Right.
think that's fair, because number one, everybody's economic status is not going to be the same. Um, you know, it might a person may have to work a week to save up for a nice date.
Right.
So you just can't assume that a person has like unlimited funds, pretty
Right.
much. So I just think after a few dates, it needs to be a discussion about it.
Well, and my thing is this is I don't. I think that that's an expectation
Hmm.
that needs to be discussed ahead of time. So, like, I knew when I took you out for the first date, I was gonna pay for it, and I know I did pay for it. And I think for the second one, I paid for it. Obviously, when you came to Shreveport, I took you out to dinner or whatever, but you wanted to pay for something,
Hmm.
and it shows how strong and independent you are as well. So I give kudos to you, but it's about having conversations, and if you go in with an expectation, you might leave with the wrong message.
Right.
So I think that was something on that. I gotta stop you real quick because there's something I'm dying to do. I was thinking about it. I said, I'm in Vegas.
Oh
I'm in
my.
Vegas. So if allow me, if you would, Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, I knew something.
Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Viva, Viva
Okay, we are
Las
in public.
Vegas.
We are in public. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
yeah,
Sorry. Hey, we got like almost 20 minutes in before I was able to do that. So,
that's fine. Get it out of your system. Get it out of your system.
so what else have you seen, or what else has there been? Perhaps again, hot topics, hot times, I guess, on this particular trip here in Vegas, or on the arrival to Vegas, because you had something happen on the arrival to Vegas as
I did.
well.
I did. I do want to give a shout out to Delta Airlines. Okay.
You know what Delta stands for, right? Don't expect luggage to arrive.
Well, my luggage arrived However, it arrived damaged.
Oh,
And so here I am at the airport. So I get in like 3 hours because I'm coming from San Diego. So I get in like 12 something. So I'm getting in like 3 hours earlier than Brian is getting in, right? So there are, I guess, two different terminal or three maybe. So I'm coming in on terminal one on Delta.
right.
So I'm getting off. I'm at Terminal One. I get my luggage, no problem, no issues. So I noticed that the luggage is like wobbling. So I'm on the phone with my daughter, and I'm like, something's not right. So I try, I try to like wiggle the wheels and all that stuff, but it just didn't fix it. So anyway, then I realized that United is coming in on Terminal Three. So I get it directions how to get to Terminal Three with the wobbly luggage. And I get to Terminal Three, and I realize, oh, okay, well, I'll just eat a little snack before, since I have all this time.
Right.
So I put the luggage on the floor to open it up, and there I see that two, not one, but two of the wheels are like cracked to the point to where I'm surprised they didn't fall off. So anyway, so I always get insurance when I get a ticket. So I looked on the insurance and it didn't have anything about luggage. So I went to Delta website and it said, okay, you have to report this within the first 24 hours, and a Delta service rep has to physically see the luggage. So that meant that I would have to get back on the trolley bus, go back over to Terminal One to the Delta service rep so they could inspect the luggage, file a claim, do all of this stuff. I was like, oh gosh. But luckily I had enough time to do it. Got back
Right.
to Terminal One, told the lady what happened, turned the luggage over. She was like, oh yeah, it's definitely messed up. So she gave me the option. She was like, okay, she said, okay, so you can purchase another set of luggage and give us the receipt and we'll reimburse you. And I was like, okay. She said, or we have some luggage here that if you want to look at and see if you like it, then you could just replace it. And I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, that'll be fine. So I mean, it was still in the box. She had to open the box and everything. So this piece of luggage was bigger than the luggage that I had. So she said, if you like it, you can have it. And we can close the claim out like right now. So basically, I took the luggage, traded out everything, gave her the broken piece of luggage. She closed out my ticket, and that was that. So I will give kudos to Delta because she fixed me up like immediately. No, she asked me like how long I had it, approximately how much it cost. And
Right.
literally within like 5 minutes or less, she was like, "Oh, here, you can just have this one. It's brand new, so if you want it, you can have it." So even though I had to go back over to the other terminal, it was definitely worth it because we got a new piece of luggage, basically no hassle.
No, I think that's great, and one of the things that I know you had touched on earlier in the show, in this particular episode, was that you became a Gigi, and I
Yes,
want to tell you that how great it is. I ran into one of my very first schools that I ever worked at, West Alabama, Janet Montgomery, and here in this convention, and she said, "Hey, are the daughters your wife's, or they're yours?" And I said, "Oh, they're my wife's." She goes, "I like that you call them your daughters." So
mhm,
it was a very proud dad moment, I guess you could
yes,
say. Um, but that shows that this convention isn't necessarily all about work, but it is really about family
right,
and everything. So I hope that it's one of those things. So I'm extremely excited that you're a Gigi on
yes.
top of everything else.
So I'm a Gigi, and what's your name?
I am Ace.
Yes.
I'm Ace. I don't know why I chose Ace. I don't know. Hey, it's probably because every single grandpa nickname was always poo pooed or like, nah,
Yeah, it
you
was
know,
shot down.
every time, right?
Yeah.
So I said, well, Ace has got to be it,
Hmm.
you know. So yeah, I'm Ace. I'm looking forward to meeting the young guy, and I keep saying he needs to go get a job. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
inflation's real. Inflation is real.
It
Look,
definitely is real.
we in Vegas, man.
We
I
are
don't know if in
living it.
2 years from now, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to come back to Vegas because it's gonna be like instead of $20 for a burger, it's gonna be $40 for a burger
Hmm.
at this point. So,
And real quick, before we close out, I want to talk about the refrigerator in our room.
oh yeah, you gotta talk about that, man.
So we open up the refrigerator, and it's a fully stocked bar, right? Okay. So we're like, okay, so we're not gonna get anything out of it. We're not gonna worry about it. So the next day, I get some water from a restaurant, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just put this cup of water in the refrigerator to keep it cold, right? So I get the water out, drink the water, get ready to put it back in the refrigerator, and I noticed the sign. And the sign says this refrigerator is not for public use.
But
And this,
why put it in the room?
yeah,
Yeah.
this refrigerator is like sensory activated. So anything that you pick up or put in, you're going to be charged like $65 for like a usage fee, a service fee. I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, Brian's gonna kill me. He's gonna get an extra $65 charge his room just because I put my water in here. So I try to break it to him gently, and I was like, so this kind of happened while you were gone on your session. And so we went downstairs to the desk. The guy said, that they didn't detect any movement or any charges or anything. So that is, I say all that to say that is ridiculous. They're going to charge a $65 service fee. And if you want to use it for personal use, it's like a daily charge to use it. Why even have it, like you said, why even have it in the room? It was a cup of water, and I thought I was going to get charged $65 for that. I was freaking out.
Well, not just that. So, like when we arrived, and there was one or two things or three things missing from the mini bar, and I
Hmm.
was like, take a picture of this,
Hmm.
right? Because we didn't use it.
Right.
So, there was that level of frustration a little bit
Hmm.
because like everything here costs money.
Yeah.
Like you might as well not even. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, oh, well, you want to go to your room? Here's $5 to get up to your room.
Hmm.
Like it's just ridiculous. Like when did this become such a hotbed? You really, I hate to say it, canceling yourself out from people coming on vacation
Hmm.
because they
I don't see
truly
how they
just
can
can't
afford it.
afford it. Yeah, they can't
Yeah,
afford it.
it's
You
crazy.
know. So, but no, I'm just glad that you were able to come,
I am
enjoy,
too.
enjoy everything. I do have one question because we talked about it earlier, and it was about hall passes, and I want to know, and I think our
I
fans.
already know.
Hold on a second. Let me get it out. I want to know, and I think our fans want to know, what is your thoughts on a hall pass, and would you ever give me one?
Let me make this perfectly clear. Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Brian Howard will never, ever, 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 ever get a hall pass. Okay? Put that on the record. And if anybody out there see him misbehaving, you know how to get in contact with me.
Well, I guess you heard it there first. Brian Howard will never get a hall pass. He ain't never coming to Vegas by himself. We already know this.
Never.
Uh,
No conventions ever. alone.
Yeah. So Vegas, Orlando, wherever. Yeah, I've got to have my wife.
Y'all get ready. I'll be there. Look for me.
But
I'll be
again,
there.
we just want to take the time to thank everybody for tuning in, listening in. Um, it's been a heck of a trip here in
It's been
Vegas,
fun.
and,
It's been
like I
fun.
said, Viva, Viva Las
Oh my.
Vegas. But like everything else that we do, everything is
Yes.
worth
Worth the
the
wait.
wait.
Yes,
So
it
we
is.
so we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we look forward to joining you again shortly.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.